All right, real quick today, we are just going to go over the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Um, I'd probably say most of you guys know what they stand for, who their party leader is at the moment, um, and maybe some of the history about the party. But we're gonna kind of delve into it a little bit. Um, so the symbol for the Republican Party would be your elephant. Okay, you'll see that around if you drive down. What is that, 45 or whatever it is? They're in near the mall where Sam's Club is. The Republican Party headquarters are there. If you feel that you are a Republican, you can go there to actually register to be a Republican. Um, and a lot of times they'll give you pamphlets, signs, those types of things. Part of that aspect that we were talking about, was it yesterday? The getting out the vote is what political parties are supposed to do, and that's part of getting out the vote. We will look at the Republican Party first. Um, Remember, it's more associated with conservatives and people who are moderate conservatives. They got that middle ground. They might look a little bit to the left sometimes, but for the most part, they are conservative thinkers. They usually support individual rights in opposition to a large, intrusive government. Um, they oppose too much government intervention in the economy and also believe that the government should not burden businesses with excessive regulations. One of the reasons why, when Donald Trump got into office, he really set out to get rid of business regulations that were in the form of like EPA and stuff like that, regulations, those types of things. This is a belief of Republicans that the businesses should be able to run free. I'm not saying you can dump whatever you want to dump, but the more regulations that are on business, Republicans kind of look at it as being the less profitable they will be and the less money they will give to workers to then boost the economy to spend. So that's one of their views of economics. Republicans generally prefer lower taxes and oppose taxing wealthy people at a significantly higher rate. So you'll see this aspect with this new tax plan that he put out, that you are if you are a higher taxpayer, or a higher wage earner, in a Democrat aspect, most Democrats would think that you should pay more in taxes, and sometimes it's astronomically more. You can argue back and forth with this with people left and right. It is how you think taxes should be. Remember, at a point in time, there were no taxes that were actually really being paid in the United States. Um, and then we started paying taxes because of larger defense systems, education, um, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, the list goes on, and government became bigger, and taxes are needed to pay for a lot of this stuff, to pay for a defense system that's higher, to actually lower national debt a lot of times. Like I said, you can argue left and right with people about if the wealthy should pay more taxes, how much more they should pay. Should it be just a flat rate, which we talked about like way at the beginning of the year? But their belief, though, is that they prefer lower taxes, more money in pocket, and they also prefer the wealthy to have a significantly lower tax rate. They usually stand for marriage between a man and a woman, and usually oppose abortion rights. This might be something that you think about, and you are kind of in the middle, where, yeah, maybe you believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman, but at the same point in time, you don't really truly care if um, two men get married, two women get married. You might look also at the aspect of abortion, where you might think that, hey, abortion has its need in society for certain things, but to be a form of birth control, it's not really a need in society. You would be a moderate. You might be, if you look at it more on the conservative aspect, you might be more of a moderate conservative. But Republicans usually look at the fact that marriage should be between a man and a woman, and they should oppose abortion rights totally. They also believe in something called American exceptionalism. So, and this is kind of, if you look through history, it's kind of gotten us into some wrong predicaments, and it's gotten us into some decent outcomes, some good outcomes for our country. But this aspect of American exceptionalism is the idea that America has a responsibility to take a significant role in world affairs. That means we need to have a strong military. We need to probably bring in tax money to pay for that military, to pay for the influx of aspects that we have within the entirety of the world. It's kind of this belief that we should be the police of the world. You can go back to Teddy Roosevelt with this, in his campaigns in the Caribbean. You're looking at the aspect that we are the people who should take responsibility for world affairs. If somebody, the little guy, is getting bullied around, we need to come in and we need to say, hey, we're America and we're here to help you. But here's the thing, and history has shown in some aspects that it doesn't end well for the United States or for any type of imperialism. You can go back to the Panama Canal. Panama was actually a part of Colombia at one point. We decided to fund a Panamanian peace movement and liberty movement, and what happened was we sent some warships down. I think it was Bogota, Colombia, or something like that. I can't remember what port city it was, but we parked our ships outside and said, hey, look, we're pointing our guns at you. If you do not give the Panamanians their freedom, then we are going to fire upon your port city and the people and the military that is there. Of course, the Colombians were like, well, crap, we don't want to do that. So they gave the Panamanians their freedom. Panamanians then we draw lines for Panama to be their own country, and the whole reason we did this is because we knew that the Isthmus of Panama was the smallest geographical area for us to build a canal. Yes, we had other positions in the Central America to build this canal, but Panama was it. Panama was the smallest aspect, and it was built by Americans. It was funded by Americans, pretty much. The labor a lot of times was American, and what we can see though out of this is that there was a lot of disdain to the United States because of how the American workers were treated compared to the Panamanian workers that were helping to do the same job. So this American exceptionalism can be looked at as negative or positive, but it's one of the aspects of the Republican Party that they look at as being, hey, we should be the police of the world, basically. We should be a part of world affairs. We take a significant role in world affairs. So that is the Republican Party and the beliefs that they have. We look at the Democratic Party, okay? They believe that we are greater together than as an individual. Stupid analogy, but from one of my favorite coaches of all time, and yeah, he coaches the Duke Blue Devils, Mike Krzyzewski. His analogy, and he has a shirt of this. It's the fact that you having a hand, okay, you have 5 fingers. You go to punch somebody like with your hand, like this, you're gonna break fingers. You're not gonna hurt them more than likely. You're gonna hurt yourself more than anything, okay? And us as individuals are not strong. And he brings this into basketball with us as individual players are not a good team. We don't work together. But if you start bringing all these people in, you create that fist. this hurts more than this does. This works better than this does. So you're looking at this Democratic Party as their belief that this is better than this. Us being individuals is is a part of our society because that's who we are. We're individuals. But when we work together collectively, we can get greater things done. So that's the first step of the Democratic Party. The other steps that we'll look at is government should generally take a bigger role in providing social services and security to Americans. So that's why it's kind of unprecedented what was passed, this stimulus bill, and how it was voted on by both Republicans and Democrats, because this is something that the Republicans would not usually look at as being a good aspect, because it's considered really all, your family's getting money, however, however you want to go with, it's really considered a social service. I can see why the Republicans did look at it as being good, and why some of the Democrats were looking at it as being good, and why they fought about some of the aspects of it. Republicans were still more than likely looking at big business, because now you're giving money to people, and you want to making sure those people are spending it in these businesses, whether it's small businesses all the way up to cruise ships and airlines. But the Democrats wanted to make sure that big business wasn't getting a giant bailout, because what we saw in 2008 did not really truly go well. So Democratic Party wise, they are okay with expanding Medicare and Medicaid. They are okay with making sure Social Security is funded and funded fully. They also prefer to increase taxes on the wealthy and reduce taxes on the poor. Again, like I said with the Republicans, you can argue left and right about this until you're blue in the face. It is going to consistently change on who is actually in power. So that's why tax laws are what they are. I don't do my own taxes. My wife is self-employed, and I don't even want to dive into that stuff, because I feel that it is just a pain in the butt. And each year, these CPAs get new books on what to do with taxes, because it changes year to year. You might have a child tax credit one year that's, I don't know, $1,500 per child or something like that. You might next year have a child tax credit that's only $500 per child. You might have writing off the interest of your house to writing off nothing from your house, or your student loans, or your healthcare bills. You got all of this stuff that goes into it. And but the aspect of taxes, though, they are looking more at taxing the wealthy. They have more income, is what their argument is. If they have more income, why in the world would they be paying 10%? With also somebody that, let's say, making $30,000 is paying 10%. The disparity of it, they argue, is wrong. And that person that is wealthy, that's making $30 million a year, should be paying 10%, and that person that's making $30,000 a year should, let's say, be paying 3%, 5%, whatever you want to go with as a lower number. That's that tiered tax system that we talked about at the beginning of the year that you probably all forgot about. Next thing, they prefer a variety of regulations to protect consumers in the financial, housing, and energy industries. They want to make sure that pollution is down. One of the big things is miles per gallon per car. That was huge as a Democratic movement to increase the aspect of miles per gallon for a vehicle. Like my dad has an 87 Mustang. That thing gets like 10 miles to the gallon. Like, you press the gas, and I swear you need to go get gas again. But like, we just bought my wife a new Escape, and it is getting 30 miles per gallon. You have cars out there that now are up in their 40s, just gasoline powered. But then you have cars like Tesla, who really are looking at that aspect of energy industries and consumption, where it's all electric. Now, you can have the argument, is Tesla better than driving a vehicle that is emitting fumes and gas? Because what are you powering your Tesla with? Electricity. Where's electricity come? It's either solar, wind, maybe coal. So you're still, with coal, you're still producing a an aspect of pollution into the environment. So you get these arguments with that. Housing. You can drive around Youngstown. If you go into Youngstown, as you're going in on is that 422? I think it is. They have built a bunch of new houses. And up near the YSU campus, they built a bunch of new houses. Those are low income houses, and it's really a movement of the a thought of the Democrats is that providing housing to people who can't afford it at an affordable price, and getting rid of these old ghettos and trying to make the area look better will maybe boost morale and boost the people of trying to get them to find jobs, hold jobs, and keep places nice. So remember that they look at regulations like financing, housing, and energy industries. They identify climate change as a major problem with conserving publicly owned lands and limiting resource extraction. Fracking's huge around here. Well, it was. It kind of still is around, but you look at this issue of fracking and the runoff and everything. You know, is it something that is producing problems with our land? I don't know what's coming out of the earth. We'll put it that way. But there's a spot for that I ride on the bike trail right before you go underneath 82, the bypass in Champion. And every time it rains, if I go out and ride after it rains, maybe a day or two after, it smells like crap. It smells like gas. It's like there's a gas leak. I don't know what it is. But, you know, is that something that is seeping because of fracking or because of, you know, humans? Is it just natural? You also look at, like, the trash in the oceans. You can go on and on with climate change. And I kind of talked about that yesterday with, you know, the moderate view of climate change. But resource extraction is huge. With coal, they pushed really big that we needed to look more at the aspects of solar and influx money into hydro energy, solar energy, and wind energy. Instead of extracting coal, and the argument for this was we were taking jobs away from coal miners that were in there, in like West Virginia and those areas. So there's this argument of, hey, what do we do with this? Is it good, bad, or is it indifferent? Democrats are also less likely to want to become involved in military conflicts. They're more of a waited out type group of people, and waiting it out can get you into trouble. Waiting it out can be okay. It's your view on that policy of military aspects. And they generally want to reduce government spending. I've said it before, the last president to not add to the national debt was Bill Clinton. No matter what you thought about him, what you think about him with what he did, what he did was wrong. He was the last president to actually not add to the national debt. So that's all I have for you guys today. I'm going to have some office hours tomorrow if you guys need help with anything. So I hope you guys have a good night. I'll talk to you later.